After days of warnings of possible blackouts, the Australian energy market operator this afternoon took control of the national system in an unprecedented bid to keep your lights on.
Today, AEMO has suspended the national electricity market.
Desperate times meet desperate measures.
It was impossible to operate the system under current conditions while ensuring reliable, secure supply of electricity to Australian homes and businesses.
So, how did we get here? Well, it wasn't for lack of power. We actually do have enough capacity to keep the lights on and homes heated.
Supply is very tight right now, but we do know there is more generation available than is being bid into the market.
That's because the wholesale price cap brought in to protect households is making a mess of power companies' profit margins.
It's costing them $400 a megawatt hour if they're only going to get paid $300 a megawatt hour. That's running at a deep insignificant loss.
So some companies withdrew power supply from the grid, risking blackouts, but making them eligible for lucrative compensation payments when the market operator was forced to intervene.
They're effectively holding Australians and consumers hostage, withholding supply, waiting for the energy agency to beg them to bid into the market.
It is a very complicated system and generators are doing what they can and trying to make rational commercial decisions.
It's quite clear that the rules are broken, the market is broken.
And the regulator agreed, today suspending the national energy market for the first time in its 24-year history.
The suspension of the market is a temporary measure and will be reviewed daily.
While the move does provide some certainty in the midst of a crisis, we're far from out of the woods.
Conditions remain tight, in particular in New South Wales, where we would urge consumers to conserve energy where it is safe to do so.
Well, Andrew Stock is a former Origin Energy executive. He's currently with the Climate Council. He joins us now. Andrew, it's been a very big day. What I think everyone wants to know at home, though, is are the lights, the heaters, are they going to stay on tonight?
Well, I think, yes, they will stay on. And it's a good thing that AEMO has stepped in today and stopped the gas generators, the coal generators playing games with Australians. The reality is we're in this situation because what has happened is that we've seen Australian energy companies basically treat Australian consumers second to the profit bottom line. What has happened is that they seem to have forgotten that Australian energy consumers were the people buying their products for the last 40 or 50 years that have created the wealth for these companies, and they need to put Australians first, not treat them as second-class citizens.
So what's the point of the market operator intervening in this way if at the same time they're still saying, you know what, if you're in New South Wales, conserve energy tonight if you can?
Well, what we're dealing with is a very unprecedented situation, basically. And as the CEO of AEMO made clear this afternoon, supply, particularly in New South Wales, is quite tight. And it's tight because we're relying on plant that's not fit for this century anymore. It's fit for last, and it's getting old and falling over. And we've got expensive gas, very expensive gas, and we've had generators playing all sorts of games. So it's a good thing that the market operator has stepped in and taken back control. We're basically in this position because what has happened is we've had basically a decade where, really a decade of policy paralysis. Energy ministers, particularly at the federal level, that seem to engage in more headbutting than trying to solve problems. So that's where we are, and we need to get on and fix it. It's a good thing that AEMO has stepped in and done that.
Well, Andrew, how long will it take to fix?
Well, it's unclear. What we need, clearly, is a plan for the future. We need a transition plan, and we need policy certainty. At least now, with consensus between the states and the federal government, we've got a good chance of getting that. And once that's there, I think we'll see companies step up and invest because they need that certainty to do that. And they'll be investing in renewables, solar, wind, backed by storage, because those products, those technologies deliver us the cheapest power. And frankly, it's the power that we need for this century when climate change is a pressing issue.
Forgive me, Andrew, but what you're talking about sounds like it's pretty long term. I think there's a lot of people sitting at home tonight getting these confusing instructions with even more confusing explanations about how the energy market works. And in reality, people are worried about their bills, worried about keeping the heater on for grandma. How are we actually going to navigate through these next few cold months?
So that's why the operator has taken the steps they have today, because they're basically fed up with generators playing games, and I think Australians are fed up with it too, frankly. So the operator has stepped in. It's unprecedented, as I said. Haven't seen this in my working lifetime on the whole eastern seaboard, and it's right. And that means that they know they've got a lot better idea which generators are there, and they can manage supply and demand, manage the balance, and ensure that reliability is foremost in everyone's minds. So I think your consumers, that your listeners, need not be concerned. We should be sensible because it is very tight. There's a dozen coal plants down. But, you know, I think with the operator taking the steps they have today, we'll get through this.
I hope so. Andrew, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.